you cannot get this bottle of wine.
And if you did, you can only get one.
The 2025 Halliday Wine of the Year comes from the 2023 Winery of the Year, Oak Ridge. This is the 2022 vintage 864 Drive Block Thunder and Diamond Vineyard Chardonnay. And today, we get to drink it.
Out of hundreds of wineries, thousands of vintages, is this really the best?
Master sommelier Carlos Santos is the perfect person to give our own assessment on this wine and find out if it truly is the best and deserves its 98 points. Cheers, my man.
Cheers. Nice to see you again.
To you as well. I'm excited about this wine. Actually, got a DM this morning from a person who helped make it. A big hello to Kate Nichols. She replied to a photo that we put up of this bottle yesterday, and she said, I helped grow that fruit. Very, very cool. So excited. And
Very
Oak Ridge started following us, so I think everyone's been excited about this episode, but we will give a non-biased approach as we did get on the wait list and was lucky enough to purchase just one of these bottles. I would have bought 6. But they limited it, obviously, after winning the award because the wine wasn't out yet. Yeah. They limited it to just one bottle per person. So, unfortunately, we won't get to put this one down and see what it looks like in a year 2, 5, 10. But exciting to be able to try this. Now, Carlos, my first question to you is, without going through Halliday's tasting notes, without going through Oak Ridge's tasting notes off their website, which we will do, I'd love to just get you to go from top to bottom. Let's assess this wine with the Master Somm.
Straight from the get-go, I mean, appearance 22, so it's not revealing a huge amount of age. Then on the nose it's clean, it's perfumed, it's fragrant, with a lot of that yellow apple, touch of fresh queens, honeydew melon. So kind of that sweet, ripe fruit, but without being too overripe. So I think it's very, very lovely on the nose. For sure. Wood, very, very gentle touch of vanilla, which is very subtle, very elegant. And for me, that's revealing a little bit of time on oak. Not like the old school Chardonnays that we would see that were very heavily oaky wines, or American, for instance. This is very, very, very subtle, very delicate. And I think because this is only just 22, with time, it will integrate even more and it will be just so fine. And the palate, the wine has a very lovely, fresh acidity, quite crisp apple. Medium body. It's a wine that has a lot of texture on the mouth, but then again, the acidity is quite refreshing, so it kind of overtakes that. Alcohol is really well balanced. You feel a gentle warmth, but then again, it's so well balanced into the wine. And then again, the same fruits coming up. I think that yellow apple. When you drink Riesling, you find a crisp green apple.
Yeah.
Here is so much riper than that. That yellow apple, that's more perhaps cinnamon. So I think more influence of oak on the palate with that vanilla, touch more cinnamon in here. But then again, I think this is just time in a bottle that will help settle everything and bring everything together. The honeydew melon, I still feel it on the palate, especially on the aftertaste.
Nice finish.
Yeah, super nice finish. I think it's long. It keeps lingering on the palate for a few minutes. So very lovely, very, very good.
Have you been down to Oak Ridge?
Yeah. Oak Ridge, very, very lovely place. Very, very green around.
Invite us to your restaurant. Have they got a restaurant?
They got a restaurant, which is
restaurant.
Actually very lovely. Lovely stuff.
I'd love to go.
Very, very lovely stuff. So everyone very, very well trained. So well-oiled machine, was really fun. And funny enough, I was with 2 friends and they did not know who we were. We were actually 3 sommeliers. And someone, I can't remember how that go. Either they recognized one of us, or I can't remember how that go. But
they did. Wow. So you're saying the people serving the wine recognize Master Sommeliers? Was it 2 Master Sommeliers? Was you and Dorian?
No, he was.
Okay.
He probably wasn't me.
You probably had your pin on. You're always wearing that thing. Just
no, I don't. No, but it's one of them recognized one of us, and they actually called David Bicknell to the table, which showed up within 2 minutes and was coming with 3 or 4 bottles on his hands to showcase his wine. So it was a lot of fun. So great people.
So
great
David's the
winery.
winemaker?
David Bicknell, the winemaker, is in charge for a very long time. Legendary winemaker, very, very well respected. And look, that all comes to the award as well at the end,
98 points. I mean, we don't really talk about points as a master sommelier. You've done enough training, and I guess it's objective. how somebody scores a wine. Your favorite wine could be a 74-point wine. It just comes down to your personal preference and palate. But would you put this wine up there? Would you be happy to serve this if Carlos had his own fine dining restaurant?
Yeah, look, I mean, when you do blind tastings, again, we said this a few times in the podcast over the years, but I think when you do blind tastings and you have this next to Jack Gonda, next to I don't know, Yari Earring, Chardonnay, when you have this next to a Cullen or Tulangi, whichever Chardonnays, and this blind tasting, it will become very, very hard to judge. And you have to be, and that is hard, but at the same time easier because you don't see labels and you really, really try to go what's in the wine. And it would be interesting to have this blind tasting next to some of the top Australian wines and see how he scored. But and I'm sure that's how they did as well at Hallidays. So to come up to this 98 point, I think is fantastic. I think it's really good. And the wine has the potential for sure.
And we are very blessed to have such amazing Chardonnay in this country. Even Margaret River, Lewin Estate, the art series is delicious. The 2014 is still something I think about, having that at Francois restaurant in Melbourne with my family. Like that's a core memory for me, opening that bottle with friends.
Art series, yeah, very good. It was best wine in the world 2014, I think, one of the Chardonnays.
Maybe that's what the reason. That was the reason I bought it, actually. That's true. Going back to what you said, Giaconda is sort of this unicorn wine in Australia, limited supply, but also a delicious wine. So if you can, and like I said, you don't judge wine. You're not somebody who assesses wine for the point of points. But yeah, when you do have a lineup of these incredible Australian famed iconic Chardonnays, how does this one stand out from the rest, including the fact they've got Chardonnays under there? This is their top tier, but they do have ranges underneath. What makes them different? Well,
I think it's really the fact that it's coming more to a Burgundian style, I think, a little bit, perhaps slightly earlier peak, but just when the fruit is ripe, that is giving you enough acidity, enough texture, enough mouthfeel, enough fragrance, enough body, that it's just about picking it at the right time. If it's too early, we'll be too unripe, too green, too tart. If it's too overripe, then we're going back to the old school, I feel. And I think that's just time management, vineyard management. And of course, I think the vines are over 30 years for most of the vineyard. So back to the 1990s. And that helps. All of that helps, really, having that really, really strong foundation. And then just good management. Yeah. I mean, not saying that the others don't. Surely everyone, and of course, Australia is so free to do things however we want that in Europe you can't because of the DOC rules. And, you have to do the wines in certain ways that in Australia we don't, because we are just free to do however we want. So much more freedom.
Yeah.
And I think that helps.
And there is obviously subtle nuance between the two. I was lucky enough to open just the other day a bottle of Tulangi F Block that I bought after our episode with Casper and the team from Tulangi. And I opened that up. There was more oak in that wine than there is here.
Yeah.
But the key word that I'm struggling to, and I use myself, so please don't go back into the Got Some files and, pull up me saying it without really recognizing what it means, but integration.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously bringing all under the umbrella to make a delicious wine work. But can you talk about what integration means for you as a master sommelier when talking about that as a descriptive?
Yeah. For example, let's say that you put this wine in 100% new oak. And back in the days, some people will do 200% new oak. So actually change the oak.
And that's going to give that big buttery power, right?
Buttery comes from obviously malolactic fermentation. But the oak influence, the spices in wine, then comes from oak.
Yeah.
The buttery is obviously the malolactic, the transformation of malic into lactic acid. But the oak influence can be so overpowering. Let's say you have a heavy toasted barrel that is brand new, and you put the wine inside, whether it's for fermentation or whether it's just a vessel of aromatizing the wine or giving flavor to the wine. Then that will become so overpowering, will become so strong into the wine. And when you bottle that, obviously, it will need a lot more time in order for these aromas to integrate into the wine, into the fruits. And sometimes they may never really do because the oak is so overpowering. This is past. Of course, that management has changed and people is much more, either knowledgeable and much more caring about the wines. And obviously, because of the fruit, the work that is done with the fruit in the vineyard, you do not want to mask the wines with oak anymore. So you just want to have to give the wine a little bit more structure, a little bit more richness, a little bit more perhaps another layer of complexity, which is then given by the oak. But people is using a lot more older oak, because the older oak, again, is not flavoring the wine anymore as much, but is helping with integrating the wine. The integration, it's in a different term. What I mean is when it comes to aging, integrating the oak aromas into the fruit of the wine, adding a layer of complexity.
But Carlos, let's say someone was lucky enough, like we were, to get a bottle of this. They've put it down. Obviously, Oak Ridge were lucky enough to hold this back for a couple of years before releasing it, but obviously it's ready to be drunk now. We're drinking it. It's delicious. How long would you like them to hold it down for? And then what would you match this with?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a wine that's it's been awarded by one of the most important or most influential wine critic. So I think it's merit to them, yeah, for sure. Now, when would I drink this? This 22. I think there's potential for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. You have only one bottle, really.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. We go buy 4 and then put them down and try
unless you put it at the very, very back of your wine cellar, or behind the box of wine, laying down that you forget about it. I mean, this is in a screw top, so again, it will be a much lower maturation as well. 22, I would say between 5 and 10 years. I think is probably ideal time. Could probably go 15 years, I'm sure. A wine that has still a lovely acidity. You feel the mouth coating. You feel the
full palate.
Fruit still present as well. So it will take time. I think it's nice to drink it now. It's nice to taste it now, but certainly it would be a pleasure to try it in 5 years, 10 years.
What am I pairing it with?
Well, this is, I think, very, very versatile. We could go for white meat, chicken. We could go for white fleshed fish. I would be wanting to have like more lobster,
Of course.
Like charred.
We're back to classic Carlos. Yeah, lobster, spatchcock.
Lobster, open the meal, like a light grill.
Yeah.
Parsley and butter sauce. Off you go. That's
great.
it.
No Macca's
and
meals,
chips, no problem. And chips.
Yeah.
Lobster.
But it has to be like 3 times cooked to chips.
Duck fat. Duck fat. Yeah, exactly.
I knew you were going to say. See, I know your body. Congratulations to Oak Ridge. Of course, we bought this ourselves. It's non-biased. But yeah, very lucky to get a bottle of what Halliday deemed to be the best wine in 2025 from the 2023 Best Winery. So congratulations to you guys. If you want to check out Oak Ridge, we'll have some bits and pieces in the show notes. If you want to follow us on socials, TikTok, Instagram, all of that is one click below. If you're listening to this, we also have a YouTube account. You can actually watch us swirling the glasses, opening the glasses, enjoying the experience. We have a YouTube page. If you are on YouTube, we do some special stuff just on our podcast. There's the plugs. Also, we haven't done this in years, but we also haven't had someone write a review in over a year. And we've got thousands of people, like tens of thousands of people who are listening to this podcast. Can you just write us a review? It helps us get into more people's algorithm and feed for their podcast searching. So if you could give us a review, there's a little 5-star, 4-star, whatever, and write a little comment about what maybe you've learned or liked about the podcast. That would be so appreciated, as this is free content. So thank you very much. Cheers to you, Carlos. I would. And of course, keep an eye and subscribe, because the Christmas and New Year's episodes are on the way as well. And next episode is Paringa Estate. Very excited to have father and son on the podcast, talking about their experience in the vineyard throughout the decades. Until then, Salud.
Salud.